Welcome to Bridging the Gap, Law, Therapy, and Justice.
Welcome to Bridging the Gap, Law, Therapy, and Justice with Caitlin Burgess. I'm Caitlin Burgess, and I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist, as well as an attorney. On this show, we explore the intersection of law, therapy, and forensic practice in high conflict family law cases. Today, I am joined by Bill Eddy. He is a licensed clinical social worker as well as an attorney. And he is also the co-founder and director of innovation at the High Conflict Institute. So he's a therapist, attorney, and mediator who has been working for decades in the field of high conflict disputes. And he develops practical approaches to help families manage these conflicts more effectively. So in this episode, we're looking on practical skills to help parents manage conflict more effectively and to reduce the impact on children in these high conflict family law situations. Welcome back, Bill. It's great to see you again.
Thanks for having me on again.
Sure. So we're going to talk today about stopping the conflict cycle in family law matters. My first question is, you've developed the New Ways for Families approach to help high conflict situations in family law matters. What was the need or the needs you were seeing that sort of inspired you to develop this particular model?
Well, what we noticed was there was 4 key areas where parents were having difficulty, especially communicating about their children and reaching agreements on what their child plan should be as they're getting divorced and having 2 separate households. And so the 4 big areas we saw them having difficulty in, one was having unmanaged emotions, that the emotions were just bursting out, bursting into tears, yelling. The unmanaged emotions would escalate the conflict and not solve problems because the unmanaged emotions would block reasonable thinking. So we wanted to look at how to calm the emotions. So managing emotions was one of the skills we wanted to teach. Second was there's a lot of all or nothing thinking. It's my way or the highway. And that doesn't help when you have to negotiate and have some give and take so you can get along. So we looked at helping people develop more flexible thinking. A third was sometimes extreme behaviors. And this is a lot like family court cases. You have issues like domestic violence, you have lying about money, you have hiding money, hiding children, punching holes in walls, spreading rumors on the internet, all of these kinds of things that were extreme behaviors, and wanting to help people rein those in. And a lot of those were driven by their unmanaged emotions. So we wanted to help manage emotions, have flexible thinking, have moderate behavior. And the last is a preoccupation with blame. That's one thing we see in the high conflict cases. And we say high conflict cases, sometimes it's one person, sometimes it's both people. But it doesn't assume that it's both people. But it's one or more people not managing themselves very well in these 4 areas. So preoccupation with blame, what we wanted to teach is checking yourself. Don't look at what other people are doing wrong. Look at yourself. Are you managing your emotions? Are you using flexible thinking? Are you using moderate behavior? You have to regularly check yourself. And we all do that. But in the tension of divorce, people have to really pay attention to that.
Yeah, so thanks for walking us through those core skills. I guess to turn to the skill, focus on managing emotions. So that skill. So in practice, what would the skill of managing emotions look like for a parent who is in the middle of a high conflict divorce?
Well, what we teach, and we teach this through the New Ways for Families method, which is an online class, coaching with an online class, and a counseling method. So they learn the same 4 skills, but they practice. That's the thing, is you need to practice. But for managing emotions, we teach 3 approaches. One is just learning to take a break. Just say, I need to take a break right now. I'll get back to you tomorrow on that subject. Also, talking to somebody neutral. And we say somebody neutral because a lot of people have opinions about other people's divorces. And you want to talk to somebody that's going to listen and be supportive, not tell you what to do or get involved in taking sides. You know, I always thought she was a jerk or he was a jerk. That doesn't help. You want to be able to say, I'm frustrated today. We're having a hard time. Can I just talk to you about it? So talking to somebody neutral. But the third thing is something that's real empowering to parents, and that is giving yourself an encouraging statement or affirmations. And so we teach people to think of a short phrase that they can use, like, I'm a good mother. And so when they're getting criticized or things are going badly, it's remember, I'm a good mother. I can get through this. And so we tell people, put that in a sticky on your bathroom mirror and remind yourself of that several times a day. Just one short phrase or 2 short phrases can help you calm your emotions right away. So you start getting angry and you go, wait a minute, I'm a good mother. I don't have to get upset now.
Excellent. So taking a break, sort of a timeout, walking away from a situation, cooling off, talking to someone neutral, and I guess a self-affirming statement or 2 with a sticky on your bathroom mirror or your rear view mirror in your car. When you talk about talking to a neutral person, like, is that like a therapist or a coach, or can it be a friend? Like, who would you recommend?
Is all of the above. In other words, I think it's good to have a therapist so that you've got someone that's knowledgeable on this and can help you manage your emotions with more nuances. But also having a friend, having, let's say, a family member, maybe your brother or sister, are good to talk to. But it helps to tell them, don't take sides and don't tell me what to do. I just need your encouragement and support. And that really helps a lot.
Excellent. So another key skill is flexible thinking. And what challenge do parents usually have with that skill? And how does your New Ways for Families approach help them develop the skill of flexible thinking?
It's really exciting to see how well this is working. So when parents are real upset, they tend to have all or nothing thinking. So let's say parents are negotiating pickup time on Sunday afternoon. Is it going to be at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock? And the one parent says, well, I want 6. I want the whole weekend. So it'll be 6 o'clock. And the other parents, yeah, well, I want 5 because I have to get the kids kind of settled in to get ready for the school week. And the more upset they are, the more all or nothing their thinking is about this. And so I've had people spend an hour fighting over an hour. And so the idea is using flexible thinking. Think in terms of choices. There's always more than one solution to every problem, so that they loosen up their thinking and can be more creative and more flexible with each other. We also teach a specific skill called making proposals. And so make a proposal. Well, I propose it be 6 o'clock and ask me some questions about why. And the process of proposal, questions, and then response, yes, no, or I'll think about it, helps them really become more productive. And if they say no, then that person now makes a new proposal. And we teach people to do this, and they do this on their own after a while. And they say it just calms the conflict so much. It becomes about creating solutions instead of fighting to win.
So now we're on to moderate behavior, the skill set or the skill of developing moderate behavior in your high conflict situation. So tell me, please, how that applies to real life interactions between contentious co-parents?
The main skill that we teach here is our BIF method. It's emails, texts that are brief, informative, friendly, and firm. And so this is how you manage your responses. Let's say you get a text saying, you never tell me what's going on at school. Where and when is the school play tomorrow? You're such an irresponsible parent. I can't count on you for anything. We're supposed to work together and you don't do that ever, ever, ever. What's the matter with you? So that's a pretty intense statement, but moderate behavior, a BIF response would be brief, informative, friendly, and firm. And a response that would be BIF would be to say, oh, the school plays tomorrow at 2:00 in the auditorium. So hope to see you there. And just totally cutting out all that other intensity, emotions, blame, and everything. You can just ignore that. And people wonder, well, don't I have to defend myself? And the fact is, if you want moderate behavior, ignore the defending and focus on information. And that way you look above the conflict. You look like the more reasonable person. So BIF responses are what we teach. And a lot of people tell us it changes how they approach the other person in general. So their overall behavior becomes more moderate towards the other person just from practicing writing this way.
Yeah, and I often mention the BIF model in communication to parents in my work with parents. Don't you apply that model as well? Don't you have a book as well that talks about the BIF model in other settings? Or am I wrong about that?
You are absolutely right. We now have 4 BIF books. So we have the first one is BIF, quick responses to high conflict people, their hostile emails, and social media meltdowns. Then we have now BIF for co-parent communication. So that's specific to parents going through divorce, separation, with 30 examples like doctor's appointments, changing the schedule, dealing with a birthday party, all the kinds of things that there could be a conflict about. Then we also have BIF at work, and we have BIF for lawyers. And since you're also a lawyer, you might be interested in that one, because you and I know that some of the most hostile email communication can be between lawyers. So that's something that we teach.
Or it can be between a lawyer and a therapist in a case. I think I didn't know you had one for lawyers. Now that's really interesting. I got to take a look at that one. So finally, the final skill is an emphasis on self-awareness and checking yourself. So can you tell me a little bit about why that's such an important core skill here?
As that's maybe the fundamental characteristic in high conflict situations is people blaming somebody else. Blaming the other person, blaming the child even. Sometimes that happens. Blaming the mediator, blaming the judge, blaming the lawyers. Blame, blame, blame. And so learning to check yourself is really fundamental to unlocking the high conflict situation. So if both people are checking themselves, now I'm practicing managing my emotions, I'm practicing flexible thinking, you're going to be able to work together pretty well. So that's almost the key to the whole thing, is keep the responsibility on your own shoulders to use these skills and not just pointing the finger at somebody else.
So excellent. So when parents begin using these skills consistently, what changes do you tend to see in how they handle conflict with each other?
It really tends to calm down. And what happens, and I've had judges say this, they've said if somebody's gone through, like say they took the online class and they come back to court, the judges say their body language is less tense, and I can send them out into the hallway to solve an issue, and they can negotiate and come back in and say, here's what we've agreed to, Your Honor. So judges report success with that. Parents report, the other parent's less hostile now, and I'm being more careful to keep, my child out of hearing of our discussions. And so I stay calmer and I make a point of that as well. So it's great when both parents can do this. And one thing I'm excited to say, I'll add, is I'm getting feedback from lawyers that their clients using the BIF email and text method, that if the other person's hostile and such, and they use that method for 2 or 3 months, the other person starts mirroring it. They start also writing BIF, even if they don't know it's a method. They start getting briefer and more information focused. So one person using these skills can influence the whole family.
This next question is, I'm wondering how the skills translate into better outcomes for children in high conflict family situations.
The method, the counseling method, which was the first way we did New Ways for Families, had 6 individual parent counseling sessions and then 3 parent-child sessions for each. Parents never have to be together, or the last session they can be together. But we had it studied in one city, and the outcome was basically that kids were sleeping better, having fewer headaches, having fewer stomach aches, and that it strengthened their relationship with both parents. So a parent they may not be seeing very much, it improved that relationship, but also the parent that they were with a lot. So we've actually seen real evidence of it helping kids feel better and reduce the tension they feel about the divorce. So we're quite excited about it. Yeah.
That is exciting. To hear that is exciting to me too, to see that the kids are actually having a reduction in their stress-related somatic symptoms is really great to hear. We don't have much time left, so we're going to have one more question here for professionals working in family law or mental health. How can these professionals begin incorporating these skills into their work with families?
Well, I think the easiest way to begin is to get our books, like our BIF for co-parent communication book, and give it to your clients and encourage them to use that kind of response. We have a book called Calming Upset People with EAR, Empathy, Attention, and Respect. That's another good way that professionals can approach their clients, help calm them down, and teach their clients to use that in their families, with their child, with their co-parent. And of course, we have our newest book. It's called Slick Solutions, SLIC Solutions. And here we go. And the idea with Slick Solutions is setting limits and imposing consequences, because often when people are upset or difficult, they ignore the limit. So you have to think about what's the consequence going to be and tell them. Like, if you keep talking to me that way, I'm going to have to end the conversation, rather than just feel helpless that they keep talking to you that way. But what's interesting, we call it setting limits and imposing consequences in 2.5 steps. And so the first step, setting the limit. Second is, what will the consequence be, and imposing it if you have to. And the half step is about half the time you give a statement that shows empathy, attention, and respect. Like, Johnny, I'm setting this limit because it will help you learn so you'll be more successful in life. But about half the time you're dealing with a manipulative person, you don't want to give them an empathy, attention, and respect statement. You want to stay focused on the consequence. No, what I said was, if you violate this boundary I've set, I'm going to have to do this. I'm going to have to do this. I'm going to have to do this. And that way you really focus on getting your consequence across. So that's setting limits and imposing consequences in 2.5 steps. And that's our most recent book that's just about 2 months old.
Slick. I like that. It's a little like BIF, but I'm wondering if I'm going to start hearing the word or the acronym SLICK now in my practice, because I certainly hear about BIF all the time. So Bill, it was great to see you. I am so happy that you were able to join me here today. And we're wrapping this episode up of Bridging the Gap, Law, Therapy, and Justice. To learn more about me and my practice in clinical, legal, and forensic work, visit CaitlinBurgess.com. And to learn more about Bill Eddy and the High Conflict Institute, you can visit highconflictinstitute.com. Thank you so much for listening, and don't forget to like, leave a review, and subscribe to the show so you don't miss the next episode.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and leave us a review in the comments.